Dated and Related is a dating / competition / reality show that Netflix released in late 2022. And it is not a show about people from the same family all trying to date each other the hardest for a cash prize. I know that's what you're thinking, because that's what I thought it was after gracing my eyes upon its ambiguously misleading title for the first time. The real gimmick is that you're teamed up with your sibling. Hold on, let's go ahead and put a little asterisk right there. And you two have to wing man and or wing woman for each other in order to find true love for a cash prize. I guess the idea is that it would be super awkward if you had to flirt or make out with other people in front of your brother or sister, but it would also be wholesome because you two would be working together in order to find love. So let's find out if that's the case. Go ahead, grab a box of popcorn, get comfortable, and sink into your couch as we jump into Dated and Related. Oh, and spoilers, duh. The first episode, of course, opens up introducing the siblings. Don't forget that asterisk. We have Joey and Corinna, and all we learn from them is that Joey looks a little bit like Justin Timberlake.
Like Justin Timberlake right now.
Which is actually surprisingly accurate. Then we have Kaz and Kieran, Lily and Maddie, Damon and Diamond, Diana and Nina, and Chris and Jason. Oh wait, what's this? Here's that asterisk from earlier. These two are the only pair throughout the entire show who aren't siblings, but are actually cousins, which throws a tad bit of inconsistency into the entire thing, because throughout the entire show, they refer to the pairs as siblings.
Siblings, sibling pairs, siblings.
Which I get. It's not like they're gonna stop every time and go, okay, siblings and our one cousin pair, every time they have to address the contestants. But it still just rubs me the wrong way. I feel like they should have just stuck exclusively with siblings, or they should have gone absolutely buck wild with the pairings. I'm talking pairs of cousins, fathers and daughters, nieces and aunts, second cousins twice removed. The show is called Dated and Related, not siblings and sexing or brothers and boners, but I digress. These two cousins in this sibling dating show are set up as our jocks, our fuck boys, if you will. Their motto is literally,
the less fucks you give, the more fucks you get. Sorry, Mom.
Finally, we are introduced to our host, Melinda. She comes in, does her little hosty bit, explains the show a little more, and lets everyone know that there is a $100,000 cash prize on the line, but never actually explains how anyone wins it. Like, is it for the sibling pair that works together the best? Is it for the couple in the end that loves each other the most? Or is it decided in a tournament style deathmatch where each person can either team up with their sibling who has been with them from the beginning, or their newfound love who they just discovered as they fight to the death with the other contestants? It's just kind of up in the air at this point. Overall, Melinda is a fine host throughout the show. She just shows up, does her thing, talks a little bit so that the show can move on to the next thing. And it's kind of funny too, because every time she shows up, it is almost always over exaggerated and overhyped. She always walks in all swagger like as some funky music plays in the background, and everyone gets all hyped up as if they're watching something way cooler than an attractive woman walking down some steps. Another thing that Melinda does throughout the show is she'll call the contestants on this lip phone, and she'll give them a set of instructions like, go to this place because we have a special surprise for you, or it's date night so make sure you're thinking about who you want to bring, or other times she'll even give them challenges. There aren't too many of these games or challenges, and anytime they do appear, it's always something light and simple. Like, the first one is this game where the pairs are asked questions and then they have to see if they come out with the same answer, just as a little test to see how well they know each other. By the way, for this specific challenge, they use these gold stars to keep track of the score, and I don't know how long the challenge went on for, but by the end of it all, there were only 5 on the board, and 3 of them belong to Joey and Corinna. Regardless of how good the contestants are at these games, that's all they really ever amount to. You're never gonna get any fear factor level challenges where the contestants have to, I don't know, eat a jar of wasps in order to win the prize, which they really shouldn't have to, because the prize in this show is usually just a date night, and the dates in this show are terrible. Typically, this takes the form of a double date between two pairs of siblings, or of course our one pair of cousins, and sometimes this works out nicely because it'll be two brother-sister pairs, or it'll be a pair of sisters with a pair of brothers, and sometimes it will be a brother and sister pair going out with two brothers, and then her brother has to awkwardly watch as she tries to flirt with these two guys. And to make matters worse, the dates always take place at the villa they're staying at. The producers just section off a little area where the contestants can sit and talk and maybe even have a couple of drinks while they're at it. There are never any actual fun dates where they get to go to a festival, get dance lessons together, or even just having a nice dinner at a restaurant. The furthest off of the villa I've seen a date go on the show is on this random dirt path where they play bocce ball, and you can just barely see the beach looming in the distance. They probably just didn't have the budget to set up any real dates because all of the money went into renting this villa, which I forgot to mention happens to be in France. And they make a very important note of that in the beginning.
Imagine being swept away to a luxury villa in the south of France. Welcome to the south of France!
And why? Why does it matter that the villa is in France if you're not going to go on any dates in the country? No cute visits to the Eiffel Tower, no fancy restaurants where the waiters talk all funny, not even a boat ride in a body of water. God forbid they visit the beach for an hour. It's extra funny too because by these standards, any two contestants could technically go on a date just by having some alone time. Like in this scene, Corinna and Daniel, who you haven't met yet, but we'll get to him in a moment, are sitting by the pool and they're talking about how they want to get to know each other better by going on a date. And it's so silly because really, if they just had some mimosas in their hands, this would technically be a date. None of these guys have to actually wait for a challenge to win. For what? A table? You all live in the same house. Just pick a spot and hang out. Go swim in the pool together. Take a walk around the property. Cuddle up by the fireplace and talk about life. These are all dates that I would go on anyway. In addition to being able to win bad dates from dumb challenges, the contestants can also be eliminated, usually for being bad at being siblings or simply not making enough moves on other people in the villa. And typically soon after an elimination, they'll introduce a new pair to compete, and this is how we meet the likes of Daniel and Julia, Alara and Jalen, yes, that's spelled with a C, Will and Wade, and Rachel and Andy. So I would talk about the quote-unquote story of the show, but there's not really anything interesting about any of these people, apart from some of their fun accents.
Rachel's type as anyone with a pulse.
Not true.
But there were a few that I did actually like. For instance, I personally found myself rooting for Joey the entire time. He was a bit of an underdog in my eyes. Joey is super reserved and awkward, which makes it really hard for him to make any moves on the ladies. But god damn it, if there's anyone who deserves love in this world, it's people who vaguely resemble Justin Timberlake. There were even people who I despised at first, but soon changed my mind about over the course of the show. Chris and Jason, our pair of cousins, started out as these god-awful superficial flirts.
It's so good to meet you guys.
Look at me like a pirate. Oh, Cersei, you do look like a pirate.
What's a pirate's favorite letter?
R. R.
You would think it's the R, but it's the C.
In all fairness, that joke is a classic. In any normal scenario, all the women around you would be swooning. But Jason just had to ruin it by trying way too hard to convince this girl to give him a kiss.
What?
Try it.
No, we're not gonna kiss.
Oh my.
We're not gonna kiss.
No, we're not gonna kiss.
It was just so off-putting at first, but over the course of the show, they went from being these gross fuckboys to just simple comedic relief.
I'm glad they're spitting game. I want them to spit game because it makes things more like...
Well, because now when we spit game, they're going to realize how much better we spit.
Yeah, true that.
Their attempts at flirting went from terrible and unself-aware to just sad or even downright silly. And after they were voted off the show, I really started to miss them. Skipping over to the end, after ignoring it for most of the show so far, the producers finally bring up the $100,000 cash prize again.
Siblings. All this time, you thought it's a sibling pair who will win the money.
Nope. I've been confused about this from the beginning. No one has explained this to me.
But the $100,000 will not be won by a sibling pair. It will be won by a romantic couple.
Oh. Okay. Cool, I guess. Didn't really care. Kind of forgot about it, actually. Interestingly enough, the contestants don't really seem to care about it either. Our man Will brings it up a couple of times, but apart from that, no one really seems to pay any mind to the prize money. No one hatches any devious schemes. No one pretends to love each other for the sake of staying in the competition. It's actually kind of wholesome. Towards the end, people start getting eliminated left and right until eventually there's only 3 pairs left. Those 3 couples each go on one last date, and surprise, surprise, the contestants who previously got kicked off are now watching the dates through the cameras. Except they didn't bring back everyone who was kicked off, just the people who were recently kicked off, which is total bullshit. If you're gonna bring everyone back, then bring everyone back. It would have been a much greater nostalgia trip if the viewers got to see everyone who was eliminated even from much earlier in the show. But instead, this reunion has no impact because, well, we saw all these people in just the episode before this. Come on, I just miss Chris and Jason. Finally, the previously eliminated contestants vote on who they think the best couple is. And really, there's only one right answer here. 2 of these contestants became a couple pretty much right at the beginning of the show, and they only got cuter from that point on. So of course, those 2 win, everyone hugs, and that is the end of Dated and Related. Overall, this show really is just your typical reality competition dating for a cash prize show. The siblings / one pair of cousins dynamic is a fun little twist, but the show doesn't really do anything apart from that to make itself more interesting. The dates are dumb, the challenges are dumb, the contestants were fine for the most part, but the fact that they didn't bring back Chris and Jason is dumb. If you happen to have a lot of extra free time on your hands, then I suppose it's a fun watch, but I'd say you're better off watching some other terrible dating show, especially considering that I've spoiled everything about this one at this point. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Hope you guys have an awesome one, and I'll see you later. Peace out.